series. They win a game at home, 130 to 122, outscoring the Celtics 54-40 in the paint. That was the recipe for success in Game 2 for the Celtics. They outscored the Hawks 64-40 in Game 2. That was a franchise playoff record in the paint. And this time, it's the Hawks putting up 54 points in the paint and shooting the basketball well all night long. Atlanta was good for 56% from the floor. Celtics made it close. The Hawks had a 14-point lead at one point. It got tied in the third quarter. Hawks rallied at the end of the third quarter, and then it was just nip and tuck rest of way. You see Trae Young putting up 32 points, his best game so far in the series. 6 rebounds, 9 assists, couple of blocks. DeJounte Murray, his running mate, 25 points, a big bucket down the stretch. Jason Tatum, 29 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double for him. Jaylen Brown, 15 points. Marcus Smart also getting in the action with 24 points, and the newly minted 6th Man of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, with 17, as the Hawks win by 8 to make it a 2-1 series deficit. Let's get some instant analysis. Welcome in CBS Sports NBA writer Colin Ward-Henninger. Colin, is this a wake-up call for Boston, or is there a cause for concern?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a wake-up call. I mean, look, they dominated the Hawks in the first 2 games, but they're supposed to win those games. They're at home. The Hawks defended their home court, and suddenly we've got a series. So if they end up winning their next game, going back to Boston, that's exactly what the Hawks are supposed to do. But you mentioned it. The Hawks absolutely dominated the paint, which is exactly what they needed to do. Trae Young was working his magic at the top of the key, getting into the middle of the lane, and that's where he's so dangerous because he can knock down those floaters, he can lob to his big man, or he can kick out for threes. When he's operating in that area, it doesn't matter if he can't make three-pointers. When he's operating in there, that's when the Hawks are their most dangerous, and that's what he was able to do in Game 3 to get them the win.
How did the Celtics look to you? Did you feel at all like they were missing a beat?
I don't think so. I think this was more a case of Atlanta just coming out strong. I mean, Atlanta's 4 bench players missed 6 combined shots. I mean, they went crazy. Jalen Johnson, Saddiq Bey. That is, the old cliche that role players play better at home. I don't know if that's necessarily something that the Boston Celtics have to look at and say, we need to do better here. I think they had, they just had good games. Trae Young played well. That's something where they can kind of look at the point of attack, see if they can try to keep Trae Young out of the paint. But overall, I think the Celtics, they made a ton of three-pointers in the first half, and it was a good sign for Atlanta that they were still in the game when that was happening because you knew that the Celtics were going to go a little bit colder in the second half. That's exactly what happened. Trae Young continued to dominate, knocked down a big three-pointer. DeJounte Murray knocks down a big three-pointer, and the Hawks did exactly what they needted to do.
What do you think was different for Atlanta compared to games 1 and 2 compared to this game 3 at home?
Yeah, I think it was effort, intensity. I mean, they were getting blown out in those games in the first half, in the first quarter. They look completely outmatched. I mean, when, writers like myself, we do analysis of these series, it was hard to even analyze anything in those first 2 games because it just looked like Atlanta wasn't putting up a fight. They were rolling over. Trae Young didn't look like himself. This looks like a different Atlanta team. I don't know if Quinn Snyder gave them a pep talk or it's just the fact that they're at home and Trae Young has been maybe hearing some of this chatter about maybe he's getting traded. He's not the guy to build around. Maybe they should look towards DeJounte Murray more. Trae Young must have heard that. I mean, he came out on a mission, played the way that we know he's capable of playing and that we've seen in playoff settings before. And now you look at it and say, hey, look, this Atlanta team that we thought could be pretty dangerous, Trae Young plays like this, they might be.
Yeah, Trae Young leading the way, one of 7 players in double figures. That sets a Hawks playoff record. It's pretty impressive for Atlanta. And I'd like to formally apologize to the Atlanta Hawks, Colin. I was up here just waxing poetically about the Boston Celtics and just opining about the fact the Hawks had no chance in this series. I said this was going to be a sweep. I said that the Hawks were just in the way. So I would like to formally apologize with you as the witness, telling America, telling Atlanta, I am sorry that I counted you out from at least winning 1 game. So I've said my piece there. Can the Hawks win another game in this series?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I appreciate your apology. I think a lot of us were on board with you that we thought this might be a sweep. But, I'm out here in the Bay Area. I go to a lot of Warriors games, and Steve Kerr has been through a ton of playoff games. He says every game is different. Every series is different. So I wouldn't say that just because the Hawks came out and played with energy and passion, that's necessarily something that makes you think that they can win this series. When you look at the two teams on paper, the way that the first two games went, I think Boston still has a significant advantage. Could the Hawks win Game 4, make it a series? Yes, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Celtics come out and play more like they did in the first two games, limiting the Hawks in the paint and come away with the 3-1 lead.
Well, the Hawks fight back and get a win here at home in Game 3. Look to even the series on Sunday, or we're going to have a 3-1 series lead for Boston if they can figure out how to right the ship after this loss here in Atlanta. Colin, appreciate it. Here as the Celtics go down on the road, looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead, and that does not happen as Trae Young and the Hawks bounce back, fight back. Trae Young leading the way for the Hawks. He had 32 points in this one, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, one of 7 players in double figures. Again, that's a franchise playoff record for the Atlanta Hawks. And look at this, his most playoff games, 30 points and 8 assists, 6 of them. Most in Hawks history, just adding to the record books as the Hawks will attempt to even up the series back at home on Sunday.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.